Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org, and this is a video tutorial for the new Boston. Now, in this video we're going to be talking about SQL Injection, but first of all we're going to be talking about what it is, and we're going to be creating a small program that's going to check a username and password. So we're going to be creating a program that's going to select a row from the database where a username and a password both match, therefore logging a user in successfully. So if you haven't already looked at the user system tutorials, go back and have a look at how we log users in. Otherwise, if you don't really want to do that, you can follow through anyway and have a look at what I'm doing here. So I'm going to be explaining what SQL Injection is, and then I'm going to be giving some small tips to protect against it. So we're going to have some server-side tips and also tips in our code that we can use to help prevent, at least, against SQL injection. There are obviously many methods that you can use based on form validation, etc., adding slashes where quotes are, but we won't worry about that for now. We're just going to chat a bit about what SQL injection is. Now, if you've already looked at queries, you'll know that a structured query is something that we use to retrieve information from a database or insert the data. We can also delete data, etc. So when you're supplying a command or an SQL statement, for example, to say select data from a database, we do something like this. So let's open an SQL tab here. Now you see that we've got, let's just go back so we can see. You can see that we've got username and password. Now if I was to select a row from this table, we've got a database called a database and a table called users. We've got an ID field, a username field, a password field, and an email field, which isn't relevant to this tutorial, nor is so much the ID field here. So username and password. Let's go ahead and create an SQL query that's going to select a username and password. So we start with select, and then we say select. We can select the ID from. We supply the table that we're selecting from, so users here, where, so select ID from users where username, make sure that's in apostrophes, username equals Alex and password equals pass123, for example. So I'm going to copy that into my clipboard so I can use it later on. When I click go, you can see that we've returned one row. We've returned the ID of the row where the username and password both match. Now, for example, if I was to copy and paste this back in here, but change the password slightly, so blah, for example, as the password, you'll notice that we won't return any rows. Okay, so MySQL returned an empty result set. Now in PHP we handle this using the MySQL numRow function, and what we do is we say if our query, so based on the user's input of the username and the user's input of the password, if the MySQL query or the result or the numRows that are returned, the number of rows that are returned, are equal to 1 or greater than or equal to 1, we know that we've successfully logged the user in because they've supplied information which makes this query work. So like I said, if you don't understand at this point, it's a good idea to go back and check on the username and the login and register tutorials where we set sessions for our users. We perform this kind of validation. But what we do need to do is protect against SQL injection. Now let's take a look at what SQL injection is. Let's just browse our database and we can go back to our text editor. So let's get rid of these tags and let's construct the query that we've just done. So we've got select ID from users where username is Alex and password is blah. Let's just say up here we have username equals and $_post username, and we have password and exactly the same thing, but this time we are selecting password. Now these are presumably two fields that we have in an HTML document that are HTML on the page that a user can enter their username and password. So they can enter absolutely any value they want into here, be it alphanumeric characters, just numbers, we can have characters, anything we want. So the user has submitted their own data, which then goes into this query, and we've seen this by just literally substituting in the variables here and here. Now, this query will then select a username and password from the database that her user has supplied. So let's say that they enter username, I'll just put it here. So let's say the username they enter is Alex, and the password that they enter is pass123.